Hello, friends. Today, we are going to read about William Arthur Ganfield. William Arthur Ganfield was an American pastor, educator, and academic administrator who was president of Century College in Danville, Kentucky from 1915 to 1921, then of Carroll College, now Carroll University, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, until he retired in 1939. A preacher in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Ganfield joined the history faculty of Carroll in 1904 and stayed until 1915. When he was elected president of what is now Century College, he reversed decisions by his predecessor, Frederick W. Hinnett, to make the school non-sectarian. Instead, he resorted to the school's close connection with the Presbyterian Church, leading to an increase in enrollment and a successful fundraiser. Century saw athletic success during Ganfield's tenure, particularly in football. The 1919 team was retroactively recognized as national champions, and the 1921 team defeated Harvard University in a note upset. Ganfield, who had agreed to return to Carroll as its president, stipulated that he would not do so until after the Harvard game. Ganfield took office at Carroll after the school's first lay president. He kept its ties to the church intact and maintained daily chapel attendance as a requirement for students. Enrollment in the endowment grew during his 19-year term, the later to $80,000. Sports enjoyed increased attention and success. Norris Armstrong, a former member of Century's football team, came to Carroll in 1923 to coach the football and basketball teams. Both won league titles. Faculty pensions were introduced during the Great Depression and fixed salaries were implemented as the facility grew. Ganfield's retirement in 1939 due to poor health and died the following year. Arthur Ganfield was born on September 3, 1873, in Cascade, Iowa. He attended Colonel College in Mount Vernon, Iowa, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in 1898 and a Master of Arts in 1901. After he attended McCormick Theological Seminary in Chicago, the complete graduate work of the University of Chicago. Ganfield was licensed to preach by the Presbytery of Cedar Rapids in 1900 and ordained by Presbytery of Winnebago in 1901. He began his ministry career as pastor of the First Presbyterian Church in Green Bay, Wisconsin, on May 5, 1901. He spent 4 years in Green Bay before reassigning on July 31, 1904, to become a professor of history and political science at Carroll College, now called Carroll University, in Waukesha, Wisconsin. This move came at the time when Carroll was transitioning from 2-year junior college to a 4-year college. Ganfield departed Green Bay for Waukesha on August 31, 1904. In late 1911, Ganfield became the interim pastor of the Congregational Church of Menominee, Wisconsin. The church offered him the pastorate in full in February 1912. He declined, but agreed to remain on the interim capacity until at least June of that year. He ultimately remained as the pastor until 1914. During part of his time in Waukesha, Ganfield was a fire and police commissioner, and position he resigned from upon leaving for Central. Ganfield was anonymously elected president of Central University of Kentucky, now Century College in Danville, Kentucky, on May 5, 1915. He accepted the position at the following month's board meeting, and his president was made effective June 1st, 1915. He inherited a college with declining enrollment. Century historian William Weston wrote that he was partially as a result of decisions made by Ganfield's predecessor, Frederick W. Hinnett, to serve formal ties with the Presbyterian Church in the United States of America. For the first time, those changes were made to gain central attendance into the Carnegie Foundation of Advancement of Technology, which required members to be non-sectarian in 1908. Many of Ganfield's major decisions worked to reverse this to get schools' enrollment and endowment back up. He conducted a fundraiser, which was planned for completion in 1919, in time for the college's centennial, though it was not finished until afterwards by 1922. The total amount raised had reached $400,000, equivalent to $7.5 million in 2024. And he had raised the school's endowment past $1 million for the first time. Gradually, the school's ties to the church was reinstated. It received funding for teaching the Bible from the Board of Education of the PCUSA in 1919, before fully reinstating the church's connection in 1921. This change was not without opposition, especially from some of the younger members of the school board of trustees. But the change went further in specifying that the future presidents of the school would be required to be Presbyterian. Almost immediately, enrollment rebounded. From a low of 80 students in 1915, the school hit 287 in 1921. The first year after the church ties were reinstated, another change took place when the schools reverted to Century College, named on December 17, 1918. It had used the name Central University of Kentucky since its merger with Central University of Richmond, Kentucky in 1901. Sports, particularly American football, were emphasized during Ganfield's time at Century. The Praying Colonels football team was experiencing national prominence. Ganfield's recruited Charlie Moran to take over as head coach starting in 1917, and the hiring of Texas high school football coach Robert L. Myers as athletic director meant that his star players Bo McMillan, Red Reaver, and Red Roberts joined him in Danville as members of the football team. The team saw success almost immediately. The 1917 squad lost only one game. The 1918 team went undefeated in the flu-shortened season, and the 1919 team finished undefeated, allowing no more than 7 points in any game, and were retroactively recognized national champions by the Scarian rating. The team's success and fame peaked as a result of their October 29, 1921 victory over Harvard, generally viewed as one of the largest upsets in college football history. This athletic success came around the same time as declining academic standards. Century was dropped from the Association of Colleges and Secondary Schools of the Southern States in 1920, and was not restored until 1923. Ganfield took the presidency of Carroll College effective December 1st, 1921. He had been Carroll's first choice to replace Wilbur Oscar Carrier when he was reassigned the presidency in 1917, but Ganfield declined because he was less than 2 years into his term at Central. Despite this, he was not Carroll's first choice this time. He was offered the job after George McCune, a pastor from New York, declined it. Ganfield's return to Carroll's restored a minister to the presidency, and his predecessor, Herbert Pierpont Houghton, had been the school's first lay president. Ganfield had accepted the presidency earlier that year, but his new contract dictated that he would not leave Century until after the Harvard game. At Carroll, Ganfield worked to restore Carroll's Christian identity and reintegrate religion as a key part of the student's experience. Throughout this term, daily chapel attendance was upheld as a requirement for all students, and church attendance remained a requirement for faculty members. Shortly after returning to Carroll, Ganfield entered the Republican primary for Wisconsin's Class I U.S. Senate seat, being contested in the 1922 election. He was defeated by incumbent Senator Robert M. La Follette after earning 27.8% of the votes to La Follette's 72.2%. La Follette went on to win the general election in the landslide over the Democratic candidate Jesse Jack Hooper. This same year, Ganfield was elected moderator of the Presbyterian Synod of Wisconsin. He remained involved in politics and was part of Wendell Willkie's platform committee during the run for President of the United States in 1940. As part in an effort to raise funds and increase Carroll's endowment, Ganfield sought to increase emphasis on athletics in a similar fashion as had been done at Century. A new gymnasium was constructed at Carroll starting in 1923, though a collapse of the steel framework that November delayed its completion. Its dedication was scheduled for June 12, 1924. He predicted that the school's football team would be beating the team from the University of Wisconsin-Madison within a few years. Though this game ultimately never happened in 1923, Norris Armstrong, a member of the 1921 Century team, was hired to be Carroll's head of coach, and the team went on to win 3 consecutive Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Association championships from 1925 to 1927. Armstrong also coached the Carroll basketball team to WIAA titles in 1924, 1925, and 1927. Pensions, a fixed salary scale, and tenure for faculty members were major issues during Ganfield's administration, especially against the backdrop of growing faculty numbers. The school had been operating on a system by which faculty members negotiated their salaries individually, which Ganfield saw as unsatisfactory for both the faculty and the college. The salary scale was established in 1928 with a maximum salary for a full professor set at $3,200, equivalent to $59,000 today per year. Solutions to the pension and tenure problems were addressed during the Great Depression, and both in part because of the specific incidents with faculty members. The former was resolved in 1937 as a result of government regulations following a 1930 dispute between the boards of trustees and the long-term member of the faculty. The tenure issue was resolved owing to an incident in which a professor was relegated to a non-teaching role against his will. Greek life was prominent at Carroll during Ganfield's tenure. The school hosted 4 fraternities and 4 sororities. By 1927, the school's endowment had reached upwards of $650,000, equivalent to $11.8 million today, and enrollment had grown to 430 students 2 years later. Around that time, the school added several buildings to its campus, including an infirmary, a music building, and a library, in addition to the new wing of women's dormitory. During the Great Depression, Ganfield wore a red tie during years where the school was in debt, and a black tie when the school ran a budget surplus. Despite the economic hardships nationwide, Carroll experienced relative prosperity during this time, with tuition costs at $200, equivalent to $5,000 in today's money, per student. The college finished with a surplus on multiple occasions, received a record number of applications, and maintained steady enrollment. By the time of Ganfield's resignation, the endowment had reached $800,000, equivalent to $18.1 million today. Carroll's enrollment had reached 500 students by 1935 and had that academic year also saw faculty salaries receiving a slight increase. By the end of his term, the school had 33 faculty members and a requirement that they must earn a master's degree. Despite these standards, Carroll's effort to establish a chapter of the Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society was rejected in 1935. Ganfield retired effective July 1st, 1938, due to poor health. Garrett T. Vender Lewitt, a member of the Carroll faculty, was chosen to replace Ganfield as acting president and was later elevated to the full position, becoming Ganfield's successor in June 1940. Ganfield married Clara Boardman on August 27, 1901, and the couple had 5 children. During his career, Ganfield was a member of the Board of Trustees of the Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary, the YMCA of Kentucky Executive Committee, the Kentucky Sunday School Association State Board, and the International Sunday School Association. Ganfield's name is given to one part of Copper Ganfield's Hall, a dormitory building at Centra, and Ganfield's Gymnasium, a recreational center at Carroll. Carroll's first year, William A. Ganfield Fellowship is also named for him. Ganfield was a member of the Knights Templar and was elected Grand Commander of the Wisconsin chapter in 1931. Ganfield died on October 18, 1940, at Presbyterian Hospital in Chicago. Thank you for tuning into Read-A-Pedia. Please consider liking this video and subscribing. You can follow Read-A-Pedia on X, and don't be afraid to comment on this video to let us know what page you would like to have read next.